This week I learned that no matter how long you've been doing this, you can always find a way to screw up something live. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, the last of January of 2023. So this year is just really off to a blazing start, I think, because I found myself having one of the most productive reading months in a while, and I think I know why. I made a promise to myself I was going to try to spend less time on social media starting in January and focus more on reading. And what do you know? I'm like over 10 books this month. So amazing month. I'm having a great time. But that's a great way to kick it off, right, guys? Let's go ahead and talk about what am I reading? Well, I started last week, but I did finish Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. Yes, I did read an indie book, as everybody's been like just freaking out about. With me in this is like if I get something recommended enough times by enough people that I trust, sure, I'll give it a shot when I get a chance. And the fact that the author sent me the book was like, okay, this is perfect timing because I got time for something this short, and I have so many recommendations for this book, so why not give it a shot? And yeah, I read it really fast. It's really good, guys. Here's what I think is the thing about this is what I wanted from Cradle and Poppy War. I think this book actually gives me exactly what I was looking for with those two books. It really kind of fell flat for me. So if you guys are just into some really awesome, fun swashbuckling time with a lot of really cool, memorable characters and just a kind of like an ancient Japan kind of setting, I think you're going to have a great time with this because I flew through it, and I think that you would too. So very high recommend. I think they're pretty dang cheap on Kindle, if you have that option. But yeah, I'll link it down below. I think you guys should definitely check it out because it's a very good book. And I did also finish Time of Contempt. It took me like all week. And I think this is where I got to say, I think that Lost in Translation might be a thing. I know this is going to upset some people because there's been a lot of people who have been waiting for me to read to continue with the Witcher series. And I don't think this was bad. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just not understanding why it's so beloved, really, because I see a lot of Witcher fans like their rankings, and they always have this book really high. And I'm trying to figure out what it is about it. And I think I've just come to the conclusion, everyone tells me that the translation for the States just isn't that great, because there are several times where I'm like, I think that was supposed to have some kind of hard-hitting emotional impact, but I didn't really even understand what the characters were trying to say to one another. So I definitely think it's something about the translation that's screwy, because it seems like this series is just huge everywhere else, but it's just moderately, successful in the States. It's really weird. So I think I will continue with the series. I'm not anxious to, but there's some haps with this book that I do like. For me, I like Geralt out in the wilderness hunting monsters. That's what really drew me into the series. Him at court basically being like, I'm Switzerland, I'm neutral and all this is just really weird. I'm just going to do whatever Yennefer wants me to do. I don't know. That's just not really super exciting to me. So I thought that the politics were pretty good in the book and things like that. But as far as like Geralt goes, again, this is two straight books where I feel like Geralt's just kind of almost an afterthought. And that's just not what I want about a book series called The Witcher. So again, I don't know if that's a translation problem, if that's just the way the series goes, but I don't know. I'm very lukewarm on the book. Again, I wouldn't say it's that I didn't enjoy it. I'm just saying I want to enjoy it more. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with the Witcher series as of this moment. But I'm glad to have finally resumed it. Like, the kids have been sick this week. Both kids got sick, and they just kind of passed it around. Somehow my wife and I dodged it, so reading time has been a little sparse this week. I don't want to alarm anybody, but if I've seemed kind of distant lately, I did have a health issue that was really concerning. And I don't want to alarm anybody, because I just want to say it did turn out to be a false alarm. So it was great. It actually turned out to be great news, obviously. But, for a good 72 hours there, it was kind of scary as you kind of wait for some results of some things. But you know what? Hey, you guys will find out one day when you enjoy your 20s and 30s, because once the clock rolls over to 40 in your age, you'll wake up with new aches and pains. And I'm like, I don't know what I did. Why does my leg hurt? That just happens when you get older. But it is, unfortunately, I've reached that age where, hey, you can't just walk those things off. You need to get them checked out. And that's what I did. So it turned out to be, great news, obviously, but it was really scary there for a minute. And then combined with the kids being sick on top of it, I kind of dug into a lot of my reading time. So my oldest being sick, we really didn't make much progress on the next Percy Jackson. Only like a chapter. So slow going with that, but I think we'll be fine. We're not really in a race to finish that and anything. But as always, guys, take care of your health. January does seem to be the time where everybody either gets sick or something crazy happens, right? I think it's because everybody tries to do their weird lifestyle change at the first of the year. So all these things, your body just is like, what are you doing, man? Stop it. But that's really all I did read this week. Now, what am I going to read? We are still a few days away from February. And I was like, I've already read 2 books I didn't plan to read this much, Never Die and Time of Contempt. So I was like, I don't want to start Golden Sun early because that is part of the read-along. So I said, I also don't want to pick something that isn't going to be next month because it is the shortest month. And I want to make sure I get everything in. So I just randomly picked We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. That's going to be one that, I had for the 5th book I was going to read in February. So moving it up. Now, look, logic dictates I should have went with Golden Fool by Robin Hobb, but I was still kind of like, I'm not ready yet. I need something grimdark, to kind of make me remember how to be hardened up a little bit again. So I picked this up, and I only read 20 pages, guys. Just a taste of it. But I can say right away that I think Mike Shackle's his writing style, it's going to be something I love. The dialogue is already kind of making me chuckle. Really, really good. Very, very cussy, if you guys aren't into that, so beware. But yeah, I can see why people say fans of Joe Abercrombie, Mark Lawrence are probably going to like this series. And that's just, again, with a brief glimpse of it. But if you watch that video, I am very, very excited about the premise of this book. Sounds really, really awesome. So I'll probably keep working on that this week. I don't know if I'll be finishing that before the 1st when we start Golden Sun. Now this, obviously, will cut to the front of the line. February 1, I will be reading this with everybody else. I've been very, very anxious, but it's very hard for me to preach, hey, we're doing one a month if you can't even follow your own rules. So we'll be starting this on February 1st, and I imagine by February 3rd, I'll be looking for something else and probably working on We Are the Dead. But yeah, very excited. In my memory, guys, this is my favorite Red Rising book, and it's still not too late for you guys to join us. These books read really quick. You can catch up if you want to. The first book you can read in a few days. It's really not that big a deal. And Golden Sun flies by because it is the essence of a page turner, guys. I think you're going to love it. But I hope you guys will join us, and those who are in the read-along. If you liked book 1, I think you're going to just buckle up. This is going to be one of your favorite series. You were kind of lukewarm on book 1, as I was the first time. I think this is the book that's going to open your mind a little bit. Like, I see what Mike was talking about here. So I hope this book meets the expectations I might have placed a little high on them, but I think it's just that great. And I can't wait to revisit it myself. And then after that, yeah, like I said, Golden Fool will be the next thing I have on there. So I doubt I'll be getting to this, before the 2nd week of February. But like I said, I have been reading a lot faster lately. Even with health concerns and stuff, I still found a way to finish Time of Contempt and read all of Never Die. So it's not like I didn't read it all. But I do think, people ask me all the time, Mike, how do you read so much? When you see this thing, you go like this, and you go like that, and then you go like this. That's how you read more, And so I wanted to make sure that I was following that rule, because I did find myself being on Twitter, being on Discord, being on Facebook, all these things. I found myself doing that a lot more than I usually did during the holidays. And I said, I feel like I'm kind of cutting into my reading time by doing that. So I was getting into some bad habits again. So I make sure I kind of righted that ship. I don't do the New Year's resolution thing, but I will say, hey, how about we just make a change? Why don't we just see if we can change something up, or maybe go back to something that was working before? And that's what I do. Along with eating better. That's obviously a big one because the holidays were not kind. How about this week on the channel, guys? I did already kind of talk about there. I did do my TBR for February, the 5 books that I plan to read the month, and then the books that if I have time to read. Now, again, February is the shortest month, 4 weeks. And, I've got some big books in that time span. So I don't want to say that I'm going to for sure read all 5 of those. I'm not going to say for sure that, I'll read any of the extra stuff. But, I like to leave those options open. I like to communicate with you guys what I'm going to read. Now, I do say the new thing with doing those monthly, as I said, it is going to be the order that I'm reading them in. And in the book, like I said, I had in the 5th slot is We Are the Dead. So things happen. Things do happen. So I hope that you guys will still join me on any of those that you want to join along with. I'm very excited to return to Realm of the Elderlings, even if I am a bit apprehensive, because like I said, Robin Hobb's got that guard up now, more so than she's ever had for me, to where I'm like, okay, I gotta be careful with this. So I'll get into that after Golden Sun. Even if I'm not done with We Are the Dead, I will be starting that, and I don't mind reading 2 books at the same time. It's not a problem for me, obviously, but excited to do it, and I'm excited that you guys continue to enjoy the monthly TBRs, because that was a decision that you guys made. And so far, you guys do seem to be liking that new format. So I appreciate all you guys who are watching those and who are commenting about what you're going to be reading February, and all you that are joining me on some of those books. That's obviously why I do it. Now, I know I did say I was going to do, speaking of Robin Hobb, I was going to do my Ship of Destiny review this week. time came and I didn't feel like it. It's going to happen like that from time to time. I sat down to, put my bullet points together, talk about Ship of Destiny. I was like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling this. And I said, what is something I feel like people have been asking for? And I said, even though I've already done that video long, long ago, I don't mind redoing it because that was when the channel first got started, and it's very painful to go back and watch for me personally now. But I wanted to do an update to where should I start with Stephen King, because anytime I do a live stream, an AMA, a community post, Twitter, Discord, anything, one of the most frequently asked questions all the time is, Mike, you talk about Stephen King all the time. He's got so many books. You talk about all these connections. Where should I start? I don't know what to do. I give you 15 options there, depending on what you're looking for. So I felt like it was worthy of doing an updated video for where you should start with Stephen King, because it can seem a little daunting when you pick up a new author and he's got like 70 books. I can see how that might be a little intimidating. If you don't want to do publication order, I give you the options in there, whether you're wanting to be scared, whether you're wanting, something non-supernatural, whether you're wanting coming of age, any of that stuff. I've got different categories and 3 for each category. So it's always fun for me to talk about Stephen King. I'd love nothing more than creating new constant readers. So if I can help you, take off the training wheels and get started on the multiverse, I'm always going to do that. And that's why I decided to do that. And you know what? The reception has been very, very positive on it. So I'm glad that you guys did like mine. Just random spur of the moment. I have no idea what to record. How about this? And it worked out for you guys. So I'm glad that you guys did enjoy it. And I hope more of you will be picking up King, because I'd love to talk to you about it. Red Rising spoiler talk with Howler Pod. This was something I was very excited about, because Howler Pod was something I discovered after I read Dark Age. It's Red Rising number 5, which is the most current book that's currently out. And the most current book that's currently out. Good one, Mike. I like that. But I was reading that book, and so many people I knew that were on board for that series kind of noped out during that time. That series is just getting too dark for me. It's just too depressing. I can't go on. So I had like no one to talk to about it. This channel was still in its infancy at the time. No one was talking about Dark Age, because either no one was reading the sequels, or they just, like I said, they just quit. So I found their podcast. And then I went back and listened to everything, because what they'll do, now they are spoilers. They're not something to listen to your first try, but on a reread, I think they're great, because, they'll be talking about Red Rising, and they'll be talking about what happens in book 4 while they're talking about Red Rising. What they do is they take like five chapter segments for each podcast episode, and it's really great. So I'm running through that I've run all of those through Red Rising now, listening to after I read it, just because I think they're a really great resource. And the fact that they agreed to come on the channel was really, really awesome for me. I made a big, big goof during that video. And that's what I talk about. No matter how much you practice this stuff, you can still mess up things when they're live. Is if you've ever used StreamYard, that's what I use to do my live episodes, is you have the little column on the right that shows you all the viewer comments, and you can post them on the screen and talk about them and stuff. We were about 20 minutes in the episode, and I was like, wow, no one's interested in this. No one has left a comment yet. And I didn't realize until it was over that I had selected the private chat column, so I didn't see anyone's comments until it was over. So guys, that is my fault. I apologize so much for that. I will get it fixed for Golden Sun, I promise. But as far as the conversation, it's a great time being able to pick their brains. It was really, really hard for Erin, because she wants to talk spoilers, obviously, and trying to remember what happened in book 1 was a little hard. But she said she's going to make sure she recaps a little before we do Golden Sun. But we are planning to do one of those for each book. And then in June, that's the off month before Lightbringer releases, we're going to do like our wish list or prediction kind of video for book number 6 in that series. So I love talking with other Howlers. It's a great time. And those are, in my opinion, those guys are the authority on all things Red Rising. They were pulling stuff from the first book that I didn't even recognize on my second read. So yeah, again, they are the authority. And if you have read the series and you're doing a reread like I am, then yeah, check out their podcast. I think you will enjoy it. I did a couple of shorts, and guys, I'm not going to lie, I see the thumbs downs. I know some of you don't like shorts. I get it. No problems if you want to skip them. I explained last week why I'm doing shorts now, so I can get content on the channel almost every single day. And it brings new eyes to the channel, because a lot of people will be willing to give you 60 seconds, a lot more than they'll give you 20 minutes. So that's why they're there. Again, if you don't like them, it's not hurting my feelings at all. I understand. You're not here for that. But for the people who are, I did post my results for that sci-fi video that I made, the sci-fi series I should pick up after The Expanse. I listed 5 of them, and I asked you guys to comment which one I should do. So it took me about an hour and a half to compile every single vote I got in the comments. And I said, from now on, I'm doing a poll, because my God. But we did pick the winner there, and I announced those results in that little short there. So check it out if you haven't. Over on Mike's Media Reviews, I did a short every single day of the week. Now, I'm doing a live reaction to each Last of Us episode on HBO. Just an instant reaction. Again, 60 seconds about how I felt about the episode. I'll talk about that when I get TV and movie talk. But I also did my most anticipated games of 2023. And each day, counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I did those over on Mike's Media Reviews. So I eventually like to get back to long form content on Mike's Media Reviews. Like I said, just, time is always the issue. It's not about content. It's just time for me. But Shorts has given me the option, to at least keep that channel alive while I go through this transition. How about some next week plans, guys? I got some interesting ones. And I know with this, a lot of people are like, well, you keep talking about stuff you're going to do, you don't do it. Look, I'm spitballing here. None of this stuff ever is in permanent ink unless I have an appointment scheduled with somebody. So it is stuff that's like, hey, it's ideas that I have. It doesn't mean for sure I'm going to do it. That's why they're plans and not what's going to happen. I would like to do another good and the bad episode. I've done one for Lycanius. I've done one for The First Law. I think that doing the good and the bad episodes is one of those things where people are always like, oh, these series that you think are just so great, you can't say anything bad about them. And I'm like, aha, I can. So the good and the bad, I always try to stick with a series that I like. Obviously, I love First Law, so I did one for that. I did one for Wheel of Time. I did one for Lycanius. I'm going to do one for maybe my favorite fantasy series of all time, A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad. And yes, there's going to be more than bad than just the last book isn't out yet. That isn't going to be the only thing I talk about there. So I think that any series you can find warts with it, I could do one of these for Dune with no problem. It's nothing like that. It's not ever meant to be anything disparaging. It's just something I think that if you're on the fence about reading a series, I can tell you everything I think is great about it and everything I think it is bad about it, and something that might not click for you. I might not find them bad, but there might be some things that might be red flags for you. I did one for Red Rising, actually. So I've done this for nothing but series I've really, really enjoyed. So it's going to be a fair conversation. I feel like it's just a good way to help people decide if they are kind of standing on the knife's edge with this thing. And my voice is kind of screwy, isn't it? I'll also be wrapping up the month of January. I'm going to be doing a book of the month, obviously, for January. If you've watched the channel on a weekly basis, I think you know what that answer is going to be, but still, logic dictates I got to do it the right way, and I've got a lot to talk about because I did read a lot of books this month. But I feel like my book of the month has been it's pretty much in permanent ink ever since I was about halfway through it. And I always like doing a wrap-up. They're always a lot of fun. I'll be doing more rapid reviews. Now, I did do a rapid review on the channel this week. It's just going to be something where if it's a book I don't have time to do a full video on, or I don't plan to do a full video on, I can do a 60-second rapid review. I did one for Never Die. Again, it's short, so that's up to you. But I'll be doing a rapid review, I think, of Time of Contempt. Kind of talk a little bit about why I think that book was fine. It was fine, but some things missed for me. I might do a longer game video over on Mike's Media Reviews because I talked about those 5 games. There's more than 5 games I'm interested in 2023, so I might talk about those. But I do have a talk about nothing scheduled, and it's going to be with my good friend Madison Goodyear, who just crossed 2,000 subscribers. Golf clap, Madison, golf clap, golf clap. So going to have her on. We're going to talk about nothing. Now, you guys don't know, me and Madison are personal friends, so I don't think we'll have any problem having a conversation. It just felt weird that, I haven't had her on this yet. So I feel like we should have a fun conversation. It'll basically be her talking about why Realm of the Elderlings is so amazing. And you know what? Hey, I'm here for it. I can't wait to hear what we talk about when we aren't just sticking to just Wheel of Time or just House of the Dragon. We can talk about whatever and see what happens. But that's what I got on tap for next week. Before I go, guys, there are a couple of TV and movie talk things. I do want to say The Last of Us continues to impress me. I'm actually very surprised how faithfully they're adapting this. It's one of those things where I keep thinking, this is going to be where they take a left turn. This is going to be, and then they do have some things where they added something. They changed a little bit something with like this hive mind kind of thing that they're doing. And at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And then they have these after the episode things, just like they did with House of the Dragon. And I was like, that makes so much more sense. So I feel like the changes they're making aren't for change's sake. They're made because that makes more sense for television. And I like it a lot. But yeah, I think that both of the first 2 episodes have been really, really great. They haven't been to the point of faithful to like slavishly faithful, where it's just like, oh, we can't make any new storylines. They are having stuff where they add stuff in. The cold opening isn't something from the game. That's great. That's stuff that we've always wondered as game fans, and about how this all first went down with the cordyceps and all that, how the outbreak happened. It's giving you context to that stuff, and I love it. And I think that's why I did see a little bit more chemistry between Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So if I have any complaints about the show, they're nitpicks. And I did talk to Spencer from Fantasy Files podcast. We did do a spoiler talk for the first 2 episodes on his secondary channel. I'll post that link. And we talk more in spoilers in depth in there. And we do talk about our nitpicks, and they are, guys. They're serious nitpicks. So, again, I'm starting to think HBO seems to be the only one who can adapt something faithfully. So, I hope that a lot of these books that I love out there get, they get the rights sold to HBO, because, then they'll at least say, hey, these books are popular for a reason. Maybe we should follow them, or game for that matter. But yeah, very, very excited for what's to come for Last of Us. It seems really, really great. My wife, who has not played the games, is loving the show. So there you go, guys. Briefly before I go, I do want to say I've been teasing for a couple weeks now that I'm watching The 100. Now, The 100 is a show on the CW that gets a lot of crap for one reason. It's on the CW. So obviously it's not going to look as epic in scale as something like would be on HBO or Netflix or those big money places. It's not going to look that high budget. It doesn't look bad, I don't think. But it's like, I love Supernatural, guys, so I've got no problem with stuff on CW. What I don't like about CW is those shows where they have to play like the teeny pop music the whole time. The 100 doesn't do that. Now, my old podcast host, Danny, he recommended The 100 to me. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, text him, Danny, what the hell do you have me watch? And he's like, just wait for it. Just wait for it. And I think it's like the second or third episode, all of a sudden, and it gets really dark. And you see that no one is safe in this series. And we're talking women, children, it doesn't matter. No one is safe on this. I feel like it is a perfect blend of a sci-fi version of Lord of the Flies. It's really, really good. It has really good writing. It still will have those moments where you're like, I might feel like it's a little young for me. You got to remember that the target demo for the CW is 15 to 24, obviously. But I feel like it had really competent writing. And that's the thing, is like through the first 5 seasons, I'm really, really on board. I'm in the 6th season right now, and it went 7. And I can see why the 6th season's a little divisive, because I do feel like this 6th season, they are doing a little bit of the little tween thing that I'm not really crazy about. But it has just been like a couple episodes. I do feel like the 6th season is the sci-fi show I always knew it could be. But we'll kind of see how they stick the landing. But the first 5 seasons, I mean, they're action-packed. And I was like, it hasn't a revolving cast because, like, it is bloodthirsty, man. No one is safe. So don't let the fact that just because it says CW on it scare you away. Sure, if you're comparing it to Emmy caliber shows, you're going to scoff at it. But I think if you've ever watched something like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer or a Supernatural, I think you'll be used to that production value and seeing how they can really stretch a dollar and make it great. And the cast is awesome. The cast is just terrific. You'll love almost all of them, or love to hate just about everybody. And there are some deaths in the show that really, really will hit you right here. So I think it's a very competent show, and it's done, guys. If you want to binge it, you can. It's all on Netflix, in the States at least. And I recommend it. I definitely do. Now, as far as where I'm at, I can only talk about where I'm at. With season 6, like I said, I'm kind of iffy on it. There's a reason it's taken me a while to get through that one. But I will get back to it. And I just say that I think it's a show that, it gets a lot of crap just because of the network that was on. And I do like it. And I don't know anything about the books, but people who have read the books have told me, yeah, the show's better, because the books are very, very YA, love triangle, all the stuff that I can't stand, whereas the show does not do. It has romance. I mean, it is the CW, guys. It is going to have romance and stuff, but never in a way that, hey, the world's on fire, let me choose between these 2 cute girls or boys. It never does stuff like that I can't stand. So, check it out if you haven't. That's what I think. As for the rest of the weekend, guys, obviously going to be watching the NFL playoffs. That's a great thing. Again, don't take this shirt personal, guys. Football in American football, rather, is just a religion in Texas. Again, don't take it personally. My kid actually tells me he enjoys soccer, what we call it, soccer, in the States. He enjoys soccer more than American football. So, I feel betrayed in my own house, so you guys have the last laugh. But I'll be watching that. And today, things work out. My wife has a task she has to finish. But if she does finish in time, me and my oldest are supposed to go see Avatar: Way of Water. So one of those things I wanted to catch in the theaters. Obviously, it's a James Cameron movie. You need that spectacle. You need to catch it when it's on the big screen. So I want to do that. But I was like, I don't know if little man is ready for a 3-hour and 15-minute movie. And you know what he told me? He's like, I did it for Endgame. I was like, okay, fair enough. So he says he's in. He loves the first movie. And again, with me, James Cameron is appointment viewing. You got to watch it, and regardless of how you feel about Avatar and Avatar 2, now the 5th highest grossing film of all time. Remember when it was gonna flop? Yeah, that was hilarious. But guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Why don't you drop in the comments, let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you listen to, what you are playing. I would love to hear it. So have a great weekend and stay safe, guys.